So in the last video, you saw me put the air filter assembly in correctly the first time. Then I thought I had it backwards. Then I put it in incorrectly. Then I caught myself and I put it back together correctly, but for some reason all the editing that I did didn't take. This is the air intake from underneath. The air comes this way, goes into the intake for the carburetor. So your pre-filter with the screen faces inward, which is the direction of the incoming air. That goes in, your filter comes in with that opening there, because that feeds the carburetor. Then your cover. There. That's the correct way. I put about a quarter of a tank of fuel in this, just enough for a little test run to get it warm enough, you know, so I can change the oil. And then we'll change the oil in it, filter, put the deck on it, and then we'll take it for a test mow. Turn the gas on. Contact. This thing works really good. A couple of videos ago, this thing was running really good. Now it's acting up a little bit. I did a little adjusting on the carburetor. That helped. I think I just need to run it. Never been a fan of these quick drain crankcase drains on these small Briggs engines. I mean, they look like they could be a failure waiting to happen. I think the key to the success of these is keeping them really clean. Don't let any dirt and grime build up on them, so they seal correctly. I still don't trust them. Filter's hotter than a $2 pistol. I love it when they design stuff to drain all over the frame and everywhere else. That filter housing sticking out an extra ½ inch, it would all drain into the pan. Engineers, my favorite subject. Oil on on my finger. This helps this oil filter seal to seal against the housing by putting a light coat of oil on it. Once it touches, comes up to the housing, 3/4 of a turn. 1, 2, 3. That's all you need. Well, let's try this Kinetics small engine oil. We'll see if it's any good. I'm going to pull this hood off. I'm going to pull the valve cover off, check the valve lash. There's an electrical connector right here. Headlights don't work anyway. Oh, I see why. These connections are all corroded. You play with this hood, you push it so far and it should come loose. Like so. So I got some electrical connections to clean and pull this valve cover off, check the valve lash. So I was talking with my buddy Duke at Duke's World on the phone for a couple hours, having fun. Then we finally got around to talking about some specs here. I found the specs okay on the valve clearance. The intake is 3 to 5 thousandths, and the exhaust is 5 to 7 thousandths. But Duke said to make sure to do it cold. Do it with the engine cold, because these little engines get hot, they expand so much. This is all aluminum, you know, so you want to do that. Anyway, so thanks, Duke, if you're watching. So you want to rotate this engine counterclockwise till this is the lower valve is the intake, the upper valve is the exhaust. You can see the exhaust and the exhaust pipe right there. So that's your intake stroke. I'm going to insert this screwdriver in the spark plug hole. Yeah, I pulled the shroud all apart again. So the screwdriver's going all the way in. Now the intake valve is coming back up. There's top dead center right there. And now the manual says top dead center on compression stroke. Because when the valve went in, that was the intake stroke. Now we're on the compression stroke. So you want to rotate counterclockwise again till your screwdriver moves 1/4 of an inch in. So I can guesstimate it here. There's 1/4 of an inch right there. Now we're ready to check valve lash. So the exhaust is 5 to 7, so I'm going to set it at 6 thousandths. And that's awful tight. The intake is 3 to 5 thousandths, so I'm going to set it to 4 thousandths. That's really loose there. That's too loose, and that's too tight. So I got to loosen this stuff up, get the right screwdriver there. We'll adjust these valves. So you got to love it, engineers. The cover bolts, those are 3/8. The adjustment fastener is a T20 Torx, and the lock nut is 10 millimeter. This stuff drives me crazy. All right, we're going to do the intake valve first. You can see that thing's really loose. So I'm going to back that off just a little bit. Tighten that up just a little bit. We're going to check it. Intake is 3 to 5. still way too loose. So I have that backwards. The center Torx is the lock device, and the 10 millimeter is the valve adjustment. Exactly opposite to what I'm used to. So there's 4 thousandths right there. That feels really good. So I'm gonna tighten that up. And then double check it. And it loosened off a little bit. Don't get impatient when you're doing this. Valve lash is pretty critical on these small engines. We're going to go right there. That feels pretty good. All right, I got the exhaust set to 6 thousandths and the intake set to 4 thousandths. All right, valves are adjusted. I'll put all this back together off camera and then we'll go from there. While I'm at it, I'm going to hit this thing with a grease gun. I'm using extreme pressure moly grease. I used to use red tack. Down here in the heat of the summer, the red tack loses its viscosity, turns to oil, and runs out of all the joints. Makes a big mess. Which means it ceases to lubricate as a grease, in my opinion. So, yeah. I went back to extreme pressure moly grease. Well, it's the next day. I've been battling this carburetor for a while, and I just can't get it to settle down. It's surging, and it really acts like it's starving for gas. Now, a couple videos ago, this thing was running perfect. So, with the new carburetor. So I've since changed the tank, added fuel shutoff valve and fuel filter. So I'm just going to check real quick and see if I got fuel flow, adequate fuel flow to the carburetor. So I'm going to pull this hose loose, turn the gas on, and see what drains out, because it's just driving me nuts. At first I thought I didn't have enough gas in the tank. Added more fuel, that wasn't it. So yeah, let me get this hose off and I'll bring you back. See what kind of fuel flow we get here. Okay, I got good fuel flow. So, looks like I'm going into that carburetor. The idle circuit is plugged up. Well, I didn't take any video of removing the carb and taking it apart because there's so much of that on YouTube already. If you want to know about small engine carbs, go watch Musty One or Daryl Fixes All or Chicanic. Any of those. Those are big channels, you know, well over 200,000 subscribers. I think Musty One has up over 500,000. They're doing this stuff all the time. But anyway, inside of that bowl is clean as a whistle. I'm beginning to suspect maybe that automatic shutoff has gone bad. But I'm going to go ahead, pull the needle and seat, blast some carb cleaner through it, and put it back together and see what happens. I don't know if you can see it or not. Right between the D and the F, there's the vent hole. I went ahead and put my little air nozzle on there and blew some compressed air in there, and I had plenty of airflow coming out the inside. So the vent is not plugged. What I'm trying to do is eliminate all the small stuff. I don't want to let a minor problem turn into a major overhaul. Well, it's got me stumped. I've been up and down the Carburetor adjustment, changed out the fuel shut-off valve, didn't make any difference. Backfired quite a bit for the carburetor. They have a sticky valve. But it was doing this before I adjusted the valve, and it's doing the same thing now. I also haven't ruled out that crusty coil. It may be getting weak, who knows? So, yeah. Well, obviously, I got some more tinkering to do and some more sleuthing. So I'm going to work on this thing quite a bit more off camera. It's going to be off and on over the next 3 weeks, though, because I got some other stuff going on. So I'll kind of shove this off to the side for now. But, you know, a couple videos ago, it was just running sweet, idling smooth. And then, you know, it sat for a couple weeks, and I brought it in to do the work that you've seen on the video. And now it's doing this. Carburetor was clean as a whistle inside. All the jets were clear, blew carburetor cleaner through them, and then compressed air. Everything was fine. So, I don't know. It's got me stumped. Eventually I'll figure it out. If you got any ideas, feel free to chime in the comments. And we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, I'm going to set this aside for a little while, and got some other stuff to do. And oh, and hey, got some more new subscribers, so welcome. Welcome to my mayhem. Glad you're here, and as always to my existing subscribers, thanks for hanging around. So I'll talk to you soon, and if I find out something on this or get it fixed, I'll be sure to let you know. We'll see you later. What I have here is a treasure trove of 3/4 inch black pipe and fittings. I guess you know what that means.